Flash floods repeatedly paralyzed Lagos. A fierce battle is also raging along its shoreline. At the heart of the crisis is the clash between massive coastal infrastructure and the rapid destruction of the city's natural defenses. The government calls this mega highway an economic masterpiece, built and elevated to survive ocean surges for decades. But environmental scientists call it a concrete dam. The one that this massive coastal barrier blocks stormwater from naturally draining into the ocean, trapping floods inside residential estates. Environmental experts say the intersection of Lagos floods, coastal road infrastructure, and wetlands protection represent a critical environmental crisis as rapid urbanization clashes with the city's natural geography. We visited the area, and here is the state of affairs.
Two or 3 months back, and the first one that happened wasn't like this. But this second one almost took everybody on our way, and it took the whole of the buildings. So many people who are here, our businesses shut down, people find it difficult to go out, people find it difficult to take care of themselves, even eat. So it has been one challenge that they have been facing for over 2 weeks now. You can see I had my shoes, and I wore slippers, I had my shoes. The water gets to this point. So it has affected me, not even this, but there was a time I was sleeping. So on that particular day, there was like a shower on my roof, like dot of droplets of water. All of a sudden, I saw myself on my bed, my foam, my bed. Water took me out. Like, like, as I'm saying it now, it was like a magic to you, but this is reality. And secondly, my TV, my phone, my clothes. Before I woke up, I saw everything on top of water.
Whenever it rains, it will flood into our houses, our rooms, our kitchen, even the bathroom drain. The water keeps coming out from them. So virtually everywhere is submerged with rain. So, and when we try evacuating with this pumping machine you're seeing, the water keep coming back. Why? Because the next street, which is Ugochukuduru, there's so many holes that they've been punctured. Some of the fences are bad, so the water keep coming in from that end. So when we evacuate the water keep coming out from the back, and we try to block it, but because the water is still coming out, so the water resistant keep pushing the cement and what we are doing there.
It was coming from this the other compound to here. That is why you see we plaster it. Then look at it now, and it's now coming from the ground.
evacuating this one now. And this is what you just, here was dry this morning, almost dried. So as you can see water now, so it's still coming out. So after a while, maybe it gets to that level, we start coming inside, we have to evacuate it again. So that's what we've been suffering all this while. And if you look at where you're seeing now, water never get to this place before. You should usually stop at that end where we have a small hole. There's a small hole in front of there. So because of the amount of flooding over time, it has gotten back to this end. We've been packing water. My children couldn't go to school. They've been around schooling at home, all of this. And so it's been a very challenging time. Most times, 2 a.m. we are packing water. 3 a.m. we are packing water. In fact, for the past 5 days, I have not had rest because we've been doing this overnight. That's just the truth. So, and because of that, hiring machine will become very difficult because you hire 40,000, you buy fuel, you pay operator. So I have to go and buy this day before yesterday so that we can be doing this every day because for the past 3 days, I spent almost 200,000 evacuating water. So I just looked at it and said, okay, it's better we just get one so that we can always do this over and over and over and over. And hold up, Alaji. Àtijọ́ wà tí kò sí problem. Ó ní ní ojú yìí tó fa gbogbo wàhálà tó ń ṣe. Ẹ̀rí ọ̀dọ̀ Alaji ní omi wà.
Omi wà nínú yàrá mi o.
Everywhere.
Omi wà nínú sitting room mi o. Alhaji Abdulrasheed Temitope.
I am Alhaji Abdul Rashid Temitope. I sell electrical parts and I am the deputy to the Igbo F4 Imam.
Omi tó ń ṣàn sọ́dọ̀ àwọn people yìí.
They are pumping out the water from their home. They have been doing that for 4 or 5 days. I was not bothered because of our relationship, but we almost had a quarrel yesterday night because of the grandma. This is because when they are pumping the water out of their compound, it was supposed to be channeled into the drainage, not the street, but we do not have gutter, so the water goes into the houses at the back.
They always fight. In fact, we just finished resolving one now because they say we cannot pump here because once we pump it to get to the end, there's no drainage here. So and even the other street that has drainage, all the drainages are full. There's nowhere the drainage can even go. So if that's why I want to even buy, I have ordered for extension of these hose that we can take it as far as very far down so that it will not be entering their shops and their homes. In fact, because everybody here is affected. So the fight, last night we fought, this morning we fought, and we cannot afford to leave it because we have kids. The water keep entering there, we keep raising them up, keep rescuing, mopping, scooping, and when you scoop, you put it here, and you put it here, it will overflow, it will go back. So all of those things has really cost unrest and quarrel and all of those things within the neighborhoods.
So if they can help to solve the flood crisis, because it has paralyzed businesses, many have been displaced. Those with new babies have nowhere to stay. If they could help talk to the contractor to help construct drainage so we can be comfortable here.
And because of the coastal road, most times the water flood drains to the canal that leads behind Chevron. And because of the coastal highway, so the water can't go through anymore. So the whole water is returning back, apart from the beach water that normally encroached before. But for a long time, the surge hasn't come to this end. It's just the rainwater and the flooding that has really disturbed this area and the other streets as well. So far, so good. We've been battling with this flood consistently for the past 5 days, back to back. In fact, we have evidence of videos. In fact, my guests even done.
Expecting from them for now is urgent intervention because people cannot sleep anymore. Our part of our mothers here now have been, taking all the way from this community down to Ijebu Ode to go and rent house for them. Most of our family have been moving. We can see people are packing out from our community. So we, the residents, the indigenous of Okanfa, we are appealing to the government to come to our aid. We are not happy. Not that we are not happy with the project. The coastal highway, we are 100% happy with the road. But why the road blocked all our channel system, that is what we are not happy for. We want them to come and through the channel. You can see the channel, you see the way it's very lower. The water is not coming. I didn't be, then they have already did a kind of a big channel that will convey it. All water inside the community will come through that channel and come to this canal. And the canal will not take it back to the river. But now, none. You can see everywhere is overflooded. Car cannot go. So if car cannot pass, tell me how the rooms will be. So even the students, they cannot go to school. All the schools are shut down.
Yes, in fact, it just stopped raining. This sun we are just seeing. We don't know how long this sun will shine. But it's been raining. Yesterday rain, this morning rain, last night rain. It's raining every day. So this sun we are seeing is a miracle. So, and we predicted that it will rain again. So we don't know, but we just pray that the rain doesn't come again now. Because if it does, we are back to square one again. So that's what the crisis we are expressing now.
The ocean also it will start rising. Why it also flood? That we experienced that one 3 years ago. Why the ocean is flooding, the rain also flooding. Both of them combined together. So almost 1 month, nobody can come into their house. Everybody need to vacate their houses and look for elsewhere to go and be a squatter. So all those kind of things, they need to provide a lasting solution, not temporary solution. This one we did ourselves, it's a temporary solution. You can see, it cannot take much of the water. But I think it is state government that comes, or federal government, that help us do the proper.
Twenty 2022, based on our prediction and research, and based on our tracking of the coastal erosion, we had predicted that if nothing is done, the coastal road by 2026, which is this year, will have been on the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. At the rate at it was moving based on our projection. But before 2026, the coastal road came on board and stopped that our projection. However, there are areas where the water is supposed to seep through, which have not been opened up very well. So the community is saying that, oh, their problem is not coastal road again, their problem is, the problem is not ocean again, their problem is coastal road. They are not telling you the truth. Yeah, the coastal road may have its own, because it's not allowing the wetlands before that have been disjointed to be connected, but they still have the issues of the coastal erosion that is happening. Yes, they have the groins there that are helping them, that they think that, oh, okay, yeah, they are fine. But if you have checked the last groin, you will notice that the last groin is almost becoming an island. So it is not, their bigger problem actually is the coastal erosion, not even the coastal road. But the coastal road, yes, has a role to play in that. And I'm sure it's something that can be remediated. And that's why we've been calling for integrated coastal zone management. Because, and I'm glad that some steps are being taken to be able to do that. Because if you don't protect the entire coastline, where the coastal road is passing, the coastal road also may be endangered. So that is where we as NCF, we are working closely with the people who are constructing, be able to advise on especially where to keep this in. We've had engagement with the Harvard University Salata Institute of Climate Change. They made their presentation and they brought up a lot of issues.
through the book exhibition, which is often which is designed to be hung on a clothesline using clothes pegs, an everyday object, an everyday way of showing this book exhibition. But the aim is to generate collective conversations about the future. And we want to generate conversations about the future in order to be able to change the future. Because by discussing it, by imagining the future, we have an agency over changing it. If we don't imagine the future, then we have no agency in changing it. And in the book exhibition, we have images of the future, 25 years from now. But we're also thinking long term. We're thinking 50 years from now, 100 years from now. How will the coast of the Gulf of Guinea be different? And what can we do to prepare for that future now?
When we talk about the coastal disasters, they are usually as a result of the climate stressors or even just the coastal stressors, which will include the coastal flooding, the storm surges, and so all that happens and causes erosion. So when the erosion occurs, you have loss of land space, you have loss of soils. With the erosion and even with the flooding, you also have destruction of properties like their shelters, their houses, depending on the kind of shelter. Some are formal, some are informal shelters. So all of them are being washed away. With that, with the collapse of the buildings, you have people sustaining injuries. You have so many things being lost, and even their fishing gears and all that also go with the water. People sustain injuries, whether directly from the flood or even from the debris that it has been affected. Also remember that some of those issues, we're talking about destruction of the buildings, we're also talking about destruction of health facilities, and even the waste management system is also disrupted. So by the time people have loss of all this property, including loss of life, because remember, it's in most cases, it's a sudden surge of the flood and the erosion, and the collapse of the buildings. So people are being washed away. So to now imagine someone in such a situation, and they are now experiencing, seeing their people losing their lives, seeing their property go, and the attachment people have. This kind of communities are already vulnerable. So they are low-income communities already dealing with other stresses of the society. And then you now have this being added. So it's like a double, in fact, triple burden of issues that they are worrying about. So even when the coastal erosions does occur, another thing that happens with them is that if it happens today, fine, they have to deal with the impact. However, they don't even know when it's coming next. So as they're even trying to recover from what they've lost from that event, they're already worrying about the next one. So it's like it brings up a lot of fear, anxiety, trauma. So whether post or pre, and then it just continues.
First thing that we need to have at the back of our mind is that water is not just a boundary, but is a bridge. And we must learn to live with water, not against it. And one of the ways to curb this issue of climate erosion is to develop an adaptability mechanisms such that we restore back our wetlands, the mangroves, and be in harmony with all our activities with the nature. And it's the only way the nature will be in peace.
Right from time. So if the planning was done properly, there are some areas that should have not been built upon, sandfilled and built. And even if the areas should have been sandfilled, proper planning should have been done where some areas will be sandfilled because development must take place, but there must have been preparation for other places that will not be sandfilled and be left for what it was meant to be, that is sponges, because wetlands are sponges that accept excess water, and when they accept this excess water, then the other places that have been developed will not be experiencing what they're experiencing. Now, I'll give you the typical example of the Lekki Conservation Center. I think we have over 10 million cubic meter of water stored in this reserve. Imagine the level of water unleashed in the environment around us. This place will be much more flooded. Now, other areas are not as opportuned or lucky as the areas surrounding the Lekki Conservation Center, and that is why you are finding that happening. So, majorly, we've had areas that should not be sandfilled and built upon, being sandfilled and built upon, and then we have even canals that are being blocked, even as we speak. I mean, the video of the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources going around and opening such canals. It's very disheartening that at this age in time, that enlightened people who have such money to be able to deploy such development are not aware that we should have water should always find their way, because eventually very few people are going to be benefiting from such development at the detriment of the majority.
Because to solve this problem is going to be about a kind of association where the Lagos state government will have to, participate fully. But something that is very, obvious is that the coastal highway has helped to, evacuate flooding, waters, in Lagos state. And if you look this way, you will see the lowlands. You see the lowlands, you will see the flood on the road. If you look towards my right, you will see one of the culverts constructed by, high tech in this coastal highway. And you will be able to see how water is flowing, from, this low point to another low point using, the one of the culverts. And it is dotted, all through the coastal highway. But we will solve the problems. We solve the problems, but we will need the participation and cooperation, and of course, commitment of Lagos state government. Some properties we have to go, and you've just seen one of the manholes we created. You can see how residents are carrying refuse and blocking the manholes. So anyway, we have this covered to do, and you have people carrying refuse to put inside the manhole to block the covert, then they should stop crying. They should know that they are the people that have caused their own problems. We cannot be manning every manhole. There must be discipline in this country. Along this corridor, you see where people have cut off, the see-through fence. You see where people have, cut through the block walk. The essence of superhighway and coastal highway is that you cannot come from your yard and engage the road. So that's why we are proposing, drainage, by the side of the corridor, and also service lane, which the Lagos state government have to participate in, because it is going to be like an internal route, to help the people of Lagos state. This is very important.
The warning from experts is stark. If Lagos continues to pave over its wetlands, no amount of concrete engineering will save its multi-billion naira roads from the rising tides. Meanwhile, the World Meteorological Organization says more devastating floods and other weather extremes linked to strengthening El Nino conditions in the tropical Pacific are becoming increasingly likely across the world now and in coming months. El Nino events typically occur every 2 to 7 years and usually last between 9 and 12 months. They often begin developing between March and June, reach peak intensity between November and February, and exert the strongest influence of global temperatures and year following their onset. The effect of El Nino vary depending on the intensity, duration, the time of year, and also how it interacts with other climate variability modes. Not all regions of the world are affected, and even within a region, impacts can be different. Science is also warned that when El Nino is neutral, extreme weather, which may mean more rains in Lagos, can still occur. And with that, we end today's show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. you.